So tooth extraction went well. If you weren't here with us, you know, earlier, everything's going great. Still taking some precautions, not sucking hard on straws, not drinking things that are super hot, being very gentle around my tooth, you know, while I'm brushing, and I'm still eating very soft food. So if I know y'all are getting tired of hearing about my tooth, ha ha ha, but I think this was extremely important for me. This so helped me this last 6 days, and I know it will help me going into next week. Excuse me, while I'm still eating, you know, soft food, because I still have, you know, basically an open wound over here. I know Trish was prepared for her dental surgery, so she's doing well. I know a couple of you have had, have had procedures done. You had them done in the past, or you're getting ready to. I don't know. I just think it was a really good topic. It's not just for dental surgery. It's for, you know, anybody that's getting ready to have, and I still can't remember that procedure, the esophageal thing, you know, where they kind of stretch your esophagus for swallowing, or any other kind of surgery, or a stroke, or anything like that. So I think just from the feedback that I've gotten, this has been a really good topic. Plus, I still have a freezer full of things and a cabinet full of things that I can use for other times. There's nothing wrong with them just because they're soft. And Sarah wants to know, how does the nitrous oxide make you feel during the happy? It just makes you feel happy. Like I just didn't care. You know, just really didn't care. The only comment I will make though is they have televisions at our dentist office above where you're at, and they had it on HGTV Barbie Dream House, and all I can tell you is at some point I remember thinking, does that house have a handle on top? And I asked them that, and they were like, yeah, it's a Barbie Dream House. And I thought, okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't imagining that, you know, because of the nitrous. But yeah, it just makes you happy. Yeah. Okay. So I promise we're going to stop talking about my tooth. No, there were no after effects at all. Well, other than feeling fuzzy for a little while, but no. And they gave me, yes, and Myrna, it is called laughing gas, because it didn't make me laugh, but it made me very happy, very happy. But we will stop talking about my tooth next week. This week, though, still just doing some wrap up from that. If you've watched, because having the tooth extracted did not even, I like prepping for that was important for this week, the week coming up to this, the week after having it done, and this next week, you know, and then it could peter off. But I will tell you that prepping some different things, having them in the freezer, having them ready, having some simple things to put together, that has been crucial for me. I don't know if you've watched many of our 300 plus videos, then you know that I struggle with eating lunch while I'm at work. The struggle, it leaves me hungry. So, you know, you would think, hello Joycelyn, so you would think that not eating lunch at work would leave me hungry and probably irritable. Okay, it's true, it does. But what it also does is it leaves me hungry, it leaves me irritable, it leaves me with bitter feelings. I can't explain it. I'm just like, everybody else got to eat lunch. I bet everybody else went out and had lunch, and they all sat down, you know, and used a real, you know, fork and a knife, and they all got to have lunch, and I didn't get to have lunch. So when I say bitter, it leaves me bitter. So hungry, irritable, and bitter. It leaves me heading home, going into my kitchen with a, all right, some trouble's coming, you know, attitude. And I definitely had that attitude, or had that look in my eyes like, all right, I'm looking for something, I don't know what it is yet, but trouble is coming. And it leaves me with a lack of desire to track that meal, that day, then sometimes the next day. It's not pretty, but I do recognize it as a strong issue that I'm still working on, and to, you know, to overcome for future success. So I knew having my tooth extracted was just gonna set me up for weight loss death spiral. Okay. In addition to the terrifying thought of a dry socket. I mean, I had worked myself, yes, and Debbie's exactly right. It's all about the hangry feeling, all of that. And hangry for me comes with a whole lot of, you know, things, a whole lot of feels. But when I say that I was nervous about the after, and hello Melvie, it's good to see you. I was less worried about having it done as I was all of this that was going to come after. I kept waking up at night and thinking, was I supposed to take an antibiotic or not? Am I done with my antibiotic? Do I still need to be taking that? What can I eat? Should I eat rice? Should I not eat rice? Should I do this? Should I not do that? You know, just on and on and on and on and on, trying, you know, like second guessing everything that was getting ready to happen. And I mean, I was seriously waking up like the whole night before. I probably woke up every hour, you know, like not freaking out, but, you know, not really able to go back to sleep, worried about what was going to happen. So you already know that last week, 2 weeks ago, you know from last week that I planned. I did plan. I prepped, which I'm not normally a prepper, and I pulled the trigger on success like I never have before, okay? It was critical to making sure that I didn't just eat ice cream and wallow in self-pity all week, because that could have happened. I mean, it was on the table. I already had another fellow tooth extraction person here in Knoxville. Her name's Alex, and she gave me a lot of advice because she was like 4 days ahead of me on having hers done. She was like, meet you for ice cream. And I totally could have done that. She was kidding, but you know, it would have been really easy just to eat ice cream this last 6 days and not eat some actual food. So this was critical to making sure that I didn't just live on ice cream and just wallow around and, oh, poor me, you know, my mouth, you know, whatever. Okay. So part of that success, though, was the tools that I enlisted. And if you go back and look at last week's chat on IfYouHaveAnEgg.com, Casey posted just a partial kind of a quick list menu. And the quick list menu has the easy things to, you know, like to have stocked. It includes a few of the kind of the recipes that I used, and then it also lists some of the tools that I used to be able to make this a success. So you can go back to last week's chat on IfYouHaveAnEgg.com and find that. She's going to post that list again, I think, this week, in case you're only here, you know, for this week. Oh no, and Debbie said, and I probably would have only eaten the ice cream one time because the coldness would have hurt too bad. And she's exactly right about that. I've still tried to not do really hot or really cold. Still doing that. Okay, so part of that success, part of the tools that I enlisted, so I used my Instant Pot, and it was great for making, you know, I think it's Carol Lou that said, you know, she's not a huge fan of the Instant Pot because it makes everything mushy. This was a perfect time to use the Instant Pot because it makes everything mushy. Like the sweet potato, the mashed sweet potatoes, perfection, absolute perfection in the Instant Pot. The polenta, like I said, I have a new addiction to polenta. And let's see, one of the ladies in the Thursday night Zoom meeting said it's called, oh, I'm not going to say it right, Malaga? No, Mamaliga. I think she said it's called Mamaliga. I'm just going to start calling it that because that sounds more fun than polenta, but a newfound love of polenta with a little bit of light butter and some honey. Perfect in the Instant Pot. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Some of the things I processed in the food processor. So I had several tools that the immersion blender, I used it quite a bit to make my the protein pudding that Melissa taught me how to make, and to make my smoothies. Yeah, so that was perfect. But one of the tools that I enlisted, I see this helping me in these lunchtime issues. So not having time for lunch, not having anything ready for lunch, not knowing what I'm going to eat for lunch, you know, whatever. So I've kind of conquered this, having an assortment of things in the freezer here at work ready to go or ready to prepare. But one of the things that has helped me this last 6 days, and I swear it feels like it's been longer than 6 days. Okay. Because it's only been like, what, at least 18 meals, but more probably like about 24 meals, just because I had an extra, like a snacky something, you know, some of those days. But one of the things that helped me a ton with those, and I think is going to help me in this continuing, you know, eat lunch at work thing, is one of these little crock pots. So several of you all have talked in the past about having your little you know, kind of a personal crock pot either at work or at home. And like Carol Lou, are you still working from home, Carol? I know Debbie works from home. Pretty sure Carol's still working from home. Trish has one of these, I think, but several of you all have talked in totally other topics, you know, situations, not even talking about you know, making soft things, but about these little personal crock pots. So this one it's a personal crock pot lunch box is what it's called. It is a crucial part of that success. I think it's going to be great for my ongoing success. I'm going to give you some. Let's see, Carol works from home 2 days now. I'm back in the office 3 days a week. Okay, so are you transporting that? Are you using this to transport food? Because you can. I mean, Carol knows that, but I'm going to give you a few important details. We're going to do I did a little Egg Lady Labs test today to give you all some more information. And then if we have time, then I'll wrap up with some product features and, a couple of how-to things on this little crock pot. So while there are several styles, colors, features, and they are warm when they're cooking, while there are several styles, colors, features of these, I chose the actual crock pot brand. So mine is made by CROCKPOT. There are other brands, but I got that one. And then I chose it in this lovely green because it complements the showroom, the decor here in our showroom at Casey Kitchen Center. So I did not feel bad about leaving it out, those 6 days, about leaving it out and letting it warm up my food. Okay, so because it goes well with everything. They had a lot of colors. They had like white with green, a really pretty blue, like a dusty blue color, kind of a dusty pink, white. I don't remember. There was there's like a tan color now. But anyway, so several different colors to choose from. An important note, this is a food heater, not a food cooker, okay? So this is just for heating food. This is not a crock pot slow cooker like to make food. So you're not gonna wanna put anything raw in there, uncooked. This is not cooking, it's just heating. Another comment is as long as it's plugged up, so mine is currently plugged up, as long as it's plugged up, it is still heating, okay? So if you leave it plugged up, it's gonna continue to stay hot. Just wanted you to know that. Okay, so first thing I thought was, is this a safe way? It's just a food heater, it's not a food cooker. Is this a safe way to reheat my lunch? That was a thought that came up. I don't know. So I asked the USDA. Yeah, and they were kind enough to answer. I'm just kidding. I found it on their website. So according to the United States Department of Agriculture, and I quote, and I'm going to read this so that I get it correct, foods that have been cooked and cooled should be reheated to at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit, but heat cooked, commercially vacuum sealed, ready to eat foods such as ham and roast, things like that, processed, canned, commercially prepared, only have to be reheated up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Then they want you to reheat leftovers thoroughly to at least 165 degrees. And sauces, soups, and gravies, if there's a way to boil them, that's good. And then I put the link to this information in the notes so that will be published when Casey publishes this here in a couple of days. So according to the USDA, if you're going to do it on the stove top, you just place the food in a pan and heat it thoroughly. The food should reach at least 165 degrees on a food thermometer when safely reheated. If you're going to do it in an oven, place the food in an oven set no lower than 325, and again use a food thermometer. Hold on a second. Debbie says just make sure if you were using those in an office, you follow your company's guidelines for appliances. Some large companies require plant ops to approve those items. Are you serious? Okay, well, it's only me to deal with here. So Debbie says apparently some companies, you have to run it through their plant operations people before you can use an appliance like this. So yeah, just keep that in mind. That's good to know. And then in the microwave, stir, cover, and rotate fully cooked food, for heating, blah, blah, blah. But then it said not recommended slow cooker, steam tables, or chafing dishes. Reheating leftovers in slow cookers, steam tables, or chafing dishes is not recommended because foods may stay in the danger zone between 40 degrees and 140 degrees for too long, and bacteria multiply rapidly at these temperatures. Uh-oh. Whoops. So did I just mess up? Oh, yeah, Lynn says they couldn't use them at the prisons. Wow, that's crazy. I've never worked in a situation like that, but that's good to know. So, did I mess up all last week? Is Carol Lou messing up? Whatever. But what is the danger zone? So I went back to my friends at the USDA. Remember, they didn't actually talk to me, okay? But I went back to my friends at the USDA and asked, what is the danger zone, USDA? What is that? So the range of temperatures, 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, is often called the danger zone. That's why the Meat and Poultry Hotline advises consumers to never leave food out of the refrigeration for over 2 hours. If the temperature is above 90 degrees, food should not be left out for more than an hour. So here was the product testing that I did. So I asked my friend Carol Lou, who uses one of these almost every day, or she did when she was, working from home, to heat up her lunch, and she gave me some tips before I got started. I took those tips and then I did some of my own testing to confirm that this little beauty would work for me if I'm going to continue to use this here at work, that it would work for you, and that it would reheat our lunches safely and within the USDA guidelines. And here is what I found. First thing, I used a heat-cooked, commercially vacuum sealed in a can, commercially vacuum sealed, ready to eat food. Remember, that was in the USDA guidelines for this test because we only had to be able to get it to 140 degrees. Okay, so remember that was part of their guidelines. I also, for this test, I used three different cans of chicken and star soup, so that it would all be the same. So I wouldn't have one thing that was thick, one thing that was thin, one thing that was, whatever. So these all started, it's exactly the same soup from I have 3 Campbell soup cans, so that the test, that part of the test is exactly the same. I used one can, was just room temperature, so I just left it, sitting out at room temperature. One unopened, I did not open it. One can was, I put it in the refrigerator, so I had one can room temperature, one can a refrigerated temperature, one can was frozen. So same soup, it started at 3 different temperatures, and this is what I found. Each one of them was heated in this same crock pot. So it was heated in the CROCKPOT brand electric lunchbox. And remember, this is not cooking food, it's just heating food. And the time and temperature, I tested the time and temperature, and these are my results. Okay, the can that started out at room temperature, it only took 45 minutes for it to and I measured the temperature, so it only took 45 minutes for the room temperature can of soup to reach almost 150 degrees. And remember, the guideline was 140. So it was a little above the USDA recommended internal temperature, and it was a lot under that 2-hour danger zone. Okay, so room temperature soup out of a can passed the test in this little puppy at 45 minutes. Test number 2 was the same type, consistency, volume, of the chicken and star soup, and it was at a refrigerated temperature, and it surprisingly only took another 30 minutes. So it was a total of 1 hour and 15 minutes to reach almost 160 degrees. So the USDA would be proud. 160 degrees, so that's well over the 140 degree recommended degrees, and it was, so it's under the 2 hours and well above the temperature. Okay, the third test, you all are going to help me now. So I took a can of chicken and star soup, same volume, same soup, same everything, and I froze it. Okay, by this time now in the chat, we're about 20 minutes away. That's why I keep glancing up. I put up a clock so that I could actually keep up with this. So we are 20 minutes away from the 2-hour mark. So the 2-hour danger zone. We're 20 minutes away from that, but we're going to check it out together. So I'm just going to take the lid off. So it has an internal lid and an external lid. So I'm going to take that off. And remember, we're still 20 minutes away from the 2 hours, and I'm going to stir it a little bit, and we're going to check it with this thermometer and see what we get. So this is going to be the internal temperature of the soup. Do remember, Vicki, yes, so Vicki, that's a great question. So I did 1 can of the chicken and stars, and then I added a half of a can of water, because chicken and star soup, if you don't know this, it is a condensed soup, and right here it says condensed. So I did 1 can of soup, and then I did a half of a can of water to that since it is a condensed soup. Okay, so this was started out frozen, and we are 20 minutes away. We are 20 minutes away from the 2-hour mark. Okay, we're already over 140. We'll see if it keeps going. We're at 148. It's right at 150. Okay, so the frozen soup is going to, it's going to max out, looks like it's going to max out at about 150, which again is still above the USDA guideline. What's the 2-hour danger zone? Never heard that. Oh, no, Carol. No, not the danger zone in the crock pot. That's for having food that's been out for that's under 140 degrees. So this is 10 degrees. So the frozen version of this is 10 degrees above the USDA guidelines, and we're still under that 2-hour mark. So Carol, what the 2-hour danger zone was, when I went to the USDA website, it said not to reheat food in a slow cooker, because it would be would be too long for something that's already been cooked. It's already, whatever, not to do that. So I just wanted to test and see, is this getting things over 140 degrees in under the 2 hours? So I really wasn't that worried about it, but I thought it would be a fun little experiment to do. Okay, so it's worked. So it worked all three: room temperature, refrigerated temperature, and frozen. All of them in under 2 hours were well above 140 degrees, and it was under the 2 hours. Okay, so let me show you a couple of features of this, since we still have about, I probably won't talk the whole 10 minutes just because, again, this is the most I've talked and my mouth's getting a little bit sensitive, but I wanted to give you just a few little tips about this. Again, while this is plugged in, it's still cooking. Okay, so it unplugs here, and this is hot, so don't touch the top of it. So it unplugs there, and it unplugs from the wall. When you are ready to pack this up, like if you want to pack this up and take it with you, this little handle, I'm going to go ahead and put the inside back on here. I can't really, I guess I can bring you all over here for just a second. When you put the internal little pot in here, please don't put any liquids in there without this little removable insert in here. No liquids without the insert, okay? You also have to line it up so that this little nubby is sticking up. That is just going to keep that from moving around and sloshing. And I'm going to use my spoon to point, since I don't want to touch this because it's hot. That is the maximum fill line. So can you all see that? That is the maximum fill line on that. So always use the little removable insert. Always put it on that little pin and never fill it above that, or you're going to have a problem. Okay, then this is the internal seal, and it just twists on there. So you just twist that on there, and then and it has a nice little seal on it, and then it has this little pop-up thing, so push the little pop-up thing down so that it doesn't spill while you're transporting it. And then this is the outside lid. Oops, hold on. I'm trying to look at you all and do this too, and I just put it on there crooked. Okay, so you're gonna put the little outside one on, and then it has this cute little handle so you can transport this with you. If you are going to be plugging it in after you get to work or wherever you're going, it has a little thing underneath here where you can wind this up. You can wind this up and put it underneath here, and you can take it with you. So I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but it's got a little place to wind up the cord and take it with you. So you can store it in the refrigerator if you want to. You can get your food prepped the night before. And let's see, Carol Lou says she loaded up her insert tonight with some soup to take to work tomorrow, and she'll add it to her lunch bag for work tomorrow, and she leaves the cooker part. Oh, okay. That's actually great. That's actually great advice. So what Carol Lou did is she's left the cooker part, she leaves the cooker part and the cord at work, and then she just takes the insert, and that's what she puts her food in, puts it in her lunch bag, and then takes it with her. Perfect. That's actually that is a great pro tip, Carol. I wanted to point out a couple of other things that are in the CROCKPOT user manual. Some very important things. One is this is not to be used by children. This is so cute. It is so little and cute that would be tempted to hand it to your children to take to school. It is not to be used for children. I can tell you this is still very warm, very warm. I would not send that to school with your children, with your young children. It does have do not open the steam vent valve during use because the steam can result in burns. Use caution removing that inner vessel because it will always be hot. So that inner kind of stainless steel removable vessel in there is going to be hot. Yeah, so don't touch it. Okay, this one was funny. Intended for household countertop use only. Keep 6 inches clear from the wall and on all sides. Always use appliance on a dry, stable, level surface. I don't know who's using this in a not household situation. I mean, this is not really a mass produced, like you can't make lots of meals with these. So yeah, so it's not really for that. Don't add like frozen. Okay, so when I did the frozen or the refrigerated soup, I'll let this completely cool off. Do not do any sudden temperature changes. So you wouldn't want this to already be hot and then put something that's frozen in there. But the one point that I want to make is I was shocked by this. Okay, not shocked, but I preach this to people every single day here in the showroom, and I'm going to preach it to you even though you're not buying countertops, probably not buying countertops from me. This is the first time I've seen this in an appliance manufacturer's handbook. Notice, some countertop and table surfaces are not designed to withstand the prolonged heat generated by certain appliances. Do not set the heated unit on a finished wood table. We recommend placing a hot pad or trivet under your lunch crock to prevent possible damage to the surface. I'm going to say, as a provider of countertops, the #1 provider of countertops in Knox County, I wish, do not set hot things like this directly on your brand new quartz countertops, okay? I have mine sitting on a cutting board. You could put it on some other level, dry surface, and it would work fantastically. You could put this directly on granite if you wanted to. Okay, so those are my tips and tricks for that. I will be putting all of this back in the freezer because I'm probably a couple of days away from feeling comfortable eating something with little teeny tiny noodles like chicken and stars. I'm not far from there, but I'm probably a couple of more days away from that. But thank you all for indulging me and listening so much about prepping for my tooth. I really do still think that it was great information. I'm telling you, the polenta, y'all gotta make some. You've got to make some polenta. And if anybody knows if I'm saying that right, Mama Liga, is how I think you say it. Oh my gosh, it is fantastic. But I hope you all enjoyed tonight. I hope you got some useful tips and tricks. I'll put the link to this in the notes, and and all of those tips and tricks will be there. Casey has the links to all of that posted last week in IfYouHaveAnEgg.com, on IfYouHaveAnEgg.com, and I think she's going to post those again this week. But yeah, y'all have a great evening and a great week. I'm feeling fantastic. Thank you all so much for checking on me. If you are watching this on YouTube, please let that next video go ahead and roll over so you'll see what I'm talking about. And go ahead and click on subscribe. I would love to have you. Yeah, y'all have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Good night.